Hello, everybody. Welcome to another 12 Days of the Comic Source Presents Bad Idea. Collaborating once again with my partner from Comic Boom, Rocky. Just celebrating the holiday season with some fantastic comics from Bad Idea. And the thing that's cool, so I'm reading a lot of these for the first time since they came out. Rocky's reading a lot of them for the first time. And I honestly, it's great. His excitement for the books is infectious. But even when I go back and read them, I'm like, oh my god, these books are so goddamn good, right? And that's exactly how I felt when I read Monster Kill Squad. Again, I hadn't read it since it first came out, way back in 2021, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to hear what Rocky has to say about this. This book is so damn good. I mean, the art, it's got some lesbian love scenes, it's got giant monsters, it's got sharp dialogue, it's well paced. Yeah, you. I just have a feeling you love this. What were your thoughts?
Well, you had me at lesbian love scenes. No, but it was actually very artfully done. Actually, there's an LGBTQ theme story in it, and it's very well done. And in fact, it's one of the ones that's done right. It's actually there's a story element. It's a very positive. It's a very interesting aspect of the story, and it underscores one of the character journeys of one of the main characters, and it's very well done. And hey, I mean, look, it's about monster. It's about a government agency that kills monsters. That's really what it's about. But it's the character work on the team that's really good. It sort of reminds me of just like a if the Wildcats hunted monsters, because it reminded me of frankly a better version of DC's Wildcats. The frustrations that I had when we DC Wildcats with Matthew Rosenberg, and apologies to Matthew Rosenberg, but the reality is that this is a four issues, but a frenetic pace, better paced, uh, more concise, uh, well structured, well paced character work, and it felt like something was at stake. Very well done. Interesting villains. Interesting character plays. Interesting villains. Different types of monsters. We got to learn the mythology of the monsters, all organized around the idea of a Pandora's box, and just a very interesting, eclectic array of monster mythology mixed in with writer Christos Gage's wild imagination. I thought it worked really well. This is a lot of fun, and once again, you sort of politely poked fun at me before about every time we review something. It's my new favorite Bad Idea comic, and yeah, this is probably pretty much up there. It's probably tied for first, you bastard. Yeah.
As soon as I started reading it and I remembered how good it was, I knew you were going to be like, "Oh, this is my new favorite." Because again, and I can't fault you, right? Because this is the kind of book that like if somebody asked me, okay, I'm new to Bad Idea, I'm not sure what I should read first. What would you recommend? I think this would be the book that I would recommend because in a lot of ways it's the most similar to kind of a traditional comic book. The ideas that are explored aren't so weird and so out there like some of the other stuff that we've read, and that stuff's all great, but I think as a reader you have to bring a lot more to something like The Lot to and as you and I always say, a lot of what you get out of comics is what you bring to it. What's the effort you're willing to put into it? How much thought are you willing to put into it? And sometimes you just want to be spoon fed, and that that's okay too. We've talked about some of those like Tankers. It's just wildly entertaining, and there's not a lot to explore there. Whereas something like The Lot, there is. This is kind of a great mix of both, right? There are some real subtly done character arcs. You mentioned the kind of burgeoning same-sex relationship between two of the female characters. One of them's kind of resistant to it. She's giving sort of the more conservative kind of perspective. The other woman is a little more free, I guess, a little more free thinking. And yeah, it makes for an interesting dynamic. So it does have some of those layers of complexity and really great character work. But on the surface, it's just this team of badass monster killers going after monsters. But it also doesn't go so far as like the monster of the week, right? I remember back in the day when Smallville was coming out. What do they call it? Like the super freak of the week, because it was so episodic, so formulaic, where every new episode of Smallville was some new monster that had been affected by kryptonite, and
They
had
had the wall of weird. Didn't
yeah,
Kelly have the
yeah,
wall of weird or something like that? Or
yeah. So this doesn't fall into that trope. Christos Gage is the writer, and he gives it more the story a lot more depth than that, and the story kind of builds over time. The pacing is fast from the beginning, and the Tomas Giorello line work is just, I mean, it's just next level. It's almost got this painted quality to it, and there's a danger sometimes when you kind of use that style of digital painting, that things can look kind of stiff. Uh, but that doesn't happen here. Again, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of fighting against monsters, and it always feels like it flows really really well. Diego Rodriguez is somebody who's colored Tomas Giorello a lot, and that works really really well. Dave Sharpe's on letters, so again, if I was recommending a Bad Idea comic to somebody, hey, I want to read something from Bad Idea, what should I try? I think I would give him this, because it feels maybe the most like a traditional superhero book of anything Bad Idea has done, even though they don't necessarily. I mean, some of them have magical powers. One of them is has some other powers. I won't spoil it. But they're all badass in their own right. It's interesting introduction in the beginning. It doesn't get too wordy. It makes sense. Basically, you don't think of clowns as monsters, but that's a lot of people are scared of clowns. So it's an interesting conceit from Christos Gage. And apparently there's different sorts of clown monsters, and they're working together. That's an anomaly, apparently. They send in a SWAT team. The powers that be, the SWAT team just gets slaughtered, as well as their backup. So that's when they call in MKS, the Monster Kill Squad. And the SWAT team's like, what, there's only 5 of you? You just took out, two of my squads. That's not enough. And so one of the members of the team's like, do you know who these people are? And kind of goes down the line, introducing them and kind of giving us an idea of what their powers are. So I thought that was really well done as well. Because you and I, we talk about it all the time, how, especially in first issues, Christos Stage does a good job. Like, give us people's names, give us their powers, give us some idea. And, it pulls us in. It makes it more engaging for us when we kind of have a touch point, instead of us just, I mean, it's okay once in a while, if it's a singular person and not a team book, to be a little more mysterious. But when it's a team book, sometimes it's hard enough to keep the characters straight on the page. And now I don't know what their names are. I don't know what their powers are. It makes it more confusing. Christos Gage doesn't fall into that trap. We learn who these team members are right away. And again, they're likable characters. They each have their own voice, their own personality, whether it's the commander, Joan Stalker, who apparently has been hunting monsters for 40 years, we're told. I'm like, man, she doesn't look much older than 40. Maybe she is. Maybe there's something magical going on that's keeping her from aging as quickly. Who knows? But yeah, she's just kind of a no nonsense take charge leader, and I really enjoyed that. And then there's Javier, who had at one point his arm chomped off by a monster. It's been replaced cybernetically. We have Edgar, who's sort of the more mysterious of the team. I'm not really sure what is going on there. And then we have Charity, and she's one of the ones that gets involved in the same sex relationship. She's the one that's a little more reluctant, because she's kind of an, for lack of a better term, an exorcist, right? Like she's very strong in her Christian faith, and she has the ability to cast spells and cast out demons and that sort of thing. And if you're hunting monsters, you talk about demons, that's going to be, pretty important. And then there's Jude, who is the other half of that same sex relationship. And she's into the occult and, pagan religion and that sort of thing. So, it's total oil and water, and yet, they're attracted to each other. And there's a couple other members of the team. There's a support guy. Eugene, is his name Eugene? Glenn. I knew there was a strong G in there somewhere. He is awesome. He's really funny. Kind of the straight man of the team. And then there's kind of another support person. She's kind of the medic. and handles sort of logistics. Um, yeah, Helena, and that's it. So the first five that I mentioned, they're the ones that sort of go in as the soldiers, the front line, and then you've got Glenn and Helena as kind of support. So relatively small team. Everybody has a little bit of a chance to shine. Everybody gets their opportunity to have some moments on the page, whether it's Glenn or even Helena. And again, I, I forget again how great a writer Christos Gage is, because he doesn't do a lot of comic work, but most of the time when I read stuff he does, like I'm just like, oh my god, he's so good. Like he's a great idea guy, and he's got these fantastic ideas, and he's able to execute them. Like, I mean, this whole idea of this MKS, this Monster Kill Squad, is a fantastic idea, and the idea of the underlying story, which is basically Pandora's box, and Pandora herself is trying to put the box back together, because she wants revenge for how she was poorly treated. But before the myth of Pandora's box, she was actually a benevolent goddess, and then she got a bad rap, and now she's kind of leaning into that. That's interesting. That's fun. And again, it gives kind of a through line to the story. I think about that, and I'm like, yeah, what a great idea for a story to give it some more depth. I think about what he did with Ninjak over at Valiant. His run on Ninjak is just fantastic. Maybe the best Ninjak story ever. It's just so awesome. His idea was, it's actually not Ninjak, it's Ninja Dash K, which means there was a Ninja A, a Ninja B, a Ninja C, a Ninja D. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was such a great idea. So I recommend that. Go check that out if you haven't read it. But and you know what? Now that I stop to think about it, I think that's Tomas Giorello art as well, in that Ninja K series. So anyway, I just thought this was fantastic. I'm not going to get into any more specific plot points or moments, because I just think it's one of those things where you need to read it for yourself. And it's a real page turner too. It's it's a relatively quick read for being. I think it's 4 32-page issues, so it's about the equivalent of 6 issues. If you're talking about a regular size comic at 20 or 22 pages, and it's fantastic. And like a lot of the bad idea books, there's definitely the feel that there could be more. It could definitely come back to this at some point, because it's just a great idea, and these characters are characters that I'd love to see again in a new story. So,
Well,
what are your other thoughts, Rocky?
well, the big thing here is no characters wasted, and it's one of those things where uh, there's nothing better than when you have a simple premise, and the premise is built upon, and it feels like you're getting some substance for it. Because I mean, let's be blunt here, it's called Monster Kill Squad, so immediately you're thinking, well, it's probably not Shakespeare, right? So then how is it going to be interesting other than what the title suggests? Well, there's definitely monsters being killed by a kill squad, there's that. But how do you make that interesting? Well, Christos Gage says, hold my beer, and lo and behold, all the members of this team, from Commander Joan Stockard, 40-year veteran who's fought monsters for years, even before a major event that happened 2 years ago that led to monsters appearing all over the planet, because this Pandora's box was open and all these monsters appeared, and the Monster Kill Squad was formed, and we get Charity, Jude, Javier, Edgar, and this ordinary guy named Glenn, who seems to be an interrogator but has a particular skill set at negotiating with demons of all things. And there's a great scene for that. I'm just giving some teasers here. We got Charity and Jude, who, like you said, are like oil and water. I mean, one's very religious, one's pagan, and they have an attraction toward each other. And they're both kick-ass warriors too. Obviously they all know how to fight here, with the exception of Glenn. And Edgar has his own secret. His own secret, and his own secret that's connected to the monsters. And Helena's got a crush on Edgar. And all these characters, and it's the interplay of these characters that underscores the plot, and the plot moves forward, and the plot's interesting. And at the end, you find out the big reveal that you thought Pandora was just a box, but actually Pandora's actually a person, and you get a rich origin of Pandora in the fourth and final issue. That you get a lot of bang for your buck in four short issues. And man, I would love, I never, this is my first time reading it. I don't know if this exists as a trade or not. I mean, maybe it isn't, but I would certainly welcome buying these four issues if I could. And but this is entertaining. And Thomas Giorello, fantastic art, just absolutely gorgeous art. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to imagine reading this with a different artist now. Diego Rodriguez. Uh, the colors are. I think the colors. Now, granted, I've seen the colors where you were nice enough to sort of send me the PDFs. I think that. So I don't know what the colors are like in the actual comic book. Maybe they're a little bit muted, the way I'm showing them here. But I do know that the covers look fantastic, and the color work. I mean, with the backgrounds, everything is clear to see. The monsters are there's so many different kinds of monsters here, from Wendigos to Bigfoots to clowns, to different types of clowns, to, of course, wolves, everything you could imagine. And it's just an eclectic array of insanity. And and everyone has their own personality and their own voice, and you don't expect that for you don't. It's almost like Gage put all this work into a comic, and I almost feel bad for him. It's like, it's just a monster. It's just a monster comic. you know the, I, but he should put a lot of work into this thing, and damn, it's entertaining. And I just wish more people would, maybe have I would have heard more people talking about this. But and this is my one little pet peeve on the side, that bad idea. They have their own way of doing things, and that's all well and good, and it certainly leads to quality product like this. I just wish more people could enjoy this, in particular myself. I'm grateful to you for sharing this with me, and I can review this with you. And I'm reading this. I just wish that more retailers, particularly mine, were a little bit on board with that idea.
Yeah, there are a lot of retailers that do mail order. We've talked about it before. Obviously, you're in Canada; it's a little bit more expensive. Um, but yeah, no trades yet. Bad idea. Which, if we get a chance to have Dinesh on, I'll let you ask him why they haven't done collected editions yet. But don't forget, everybody, that there's B sides as well. We won't get specifically into the B sides that are in here, but they are. A couple of them are related to Save Now, and the reason I mention that is because the Save Now Kickstarter campaign is going on right now. So that's a way that you can definitely get it, even if you don't have a Bad Idea store, close to you. You still have a chance to get Save Now. Fantastic idea for a story from Matt Kent. It's the same artist that we've seen here today, Thomas Giorello. And this idea that the guy, the saver, and he mentions in the first time that we saw him, because that B side actually we've seen previously, and they reprinted it here again. And he mentions he's like savior, or saver, kind of sounds like savior. That's on purpose. He can create save points just like a video game and go back. Okay, we're fighting against this monster, or if we're trying to prevent this disaster, or this train crash, or whatever. And let's try to prevent it this way. Well, that didn't work. Okay, let's rewind 30 minutes, and now let's try it this different way. And he's the only one that actually experiences the time and the memory of what happened. So he still ages. Everybody else is in the world is reset. So it's a fantastic idea. Again, the campaign's going on right now. I put a link in every one of the 12 days of the Comic Source Presents Bad Idea episodes to that Kickstarter. It ends on Christmas Eve, so you are running out of time. I definitely encourage you to go check it out. Find it. There's a bunch of different tiers. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but if you just want to be able to experience the story, that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go and check it out. And the other thing that I'll mention is you're going to want to be sure. I haven't mentioned this before, but you really should be following Bad Idea on social media, or sign up for their newsletter, because they have done their last few comics via Kickstarter, just because I mentioned how small of a team it is, and how it makes so much more financial sense for them to do Kickstarter. I do think that we'll be back in comic stores. In fact, they've had a couple new releases come out in comic stores this month. One of them that came out today, as we're recording this, on the 20th, And I was out there 2 hours before my shop opened, and I got my first customer button for the destroyer. But the reason you want to sign up for the newsletter is then you know when stuff is happening. You know when they announce new contests. You know when they announce new Kickstarters. It's not everybody can do what I did and go out there 2 hours before their comic shop opens and stand there and wait and be first in line. But when you support a Bad Idea Kickstarter, if you pledge on the first day, you get a first customer button. You don't have to stand anywhere. You pledge in the first 24 hours, you get a first customer button. So that's fantastic. And a lot of times you can use those buttons to trade in for exclusive comics. If you have a first customer button and you're at San Diego Comic-Con, it gets you into the Tiki Party. You get a couple free drinks. You get some free food. You get to hang out with the Bad Idea creators and other Bad Idea fans. It's the highlight of it has become for me the highlight of San Diego Comic-Con. It's so much fun. So we've been enjoying these books. We really there's Destroyer if you're watching this on YouTube. Just came out today. Fantastic. Can't wait to read it. So we've really been enjoying these books. We're going to continue to enjoy them over the next 5 episodes while we count down to Christmas. But the other part that that we haven't mentioned yet is just the community of Bad Idea fans. Because like I said at the very beginning, the very first episode, Bad Idea it makes you work a little bit. You got to go into the comic shop. They don't have collected editions. They don't have digital. Again, a lot of it is to do with having such a small team and trying to really get foot traffic into comic shops, trying to prevent piracy, those sort of things, like really good ideas that are behind their seeming bad ideas. And the community is just amazing. So Monster Kill Squad, absolutely amazing. Highly recommended. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Pirate Queen, which is the Peter Milligan 4-issue Bad Idea series that came out. I'm pretty sure. So I think when we're talking about the final 5, it was Monster Kill Squad, and then it was the Refuse and Last Resort that we covered yesterday, and then it was Pirate Queen. That's the third of the final 5. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We hope you all get a chance to join us. And once again, we'll wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope you're enjoying your holiday season with friends and family. So any last thoughts as we're wrapping up here, Rocky?
No, just another thank you for having me join you on this. I'm quite enjoying this 12 days of the comic source. And man, I want to see more of Monster Kill Squad.
Yeah, 100% agree. So
yeah,
okay, everybody, don't forget.
We'll see if Pirate Queen is going to be my new number 1 favorite tomorrow.
I think Monster. It's going to have a hard time topping Monster Kill Squad, but we'll see. Okay, everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is on the Comic Source channel. Don't forget to go over to Rocky's channel, Comic Space Boom! That's his YouTube channel. It's where we do our DC spotlights every week. Ring the notification bell, leave some comments below, subscribe, so you're sure not to miss out on those DC spotlights when they come out every week. And if you prefer audio only, or maybe it's easier when you're driving or on the subway or what have you, just go to wherever you get your podcast, do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe, and you won't miss out on any of our content. So once again, we appreciate you all joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Catch you later.